We face a serious problem in this industry right now. It's frustrating because the only people that it's really hurting are the people that need the most help. We have an issue with a rebound to oversimplification. We are oversimplifying fitness in so many ways now as a counter-regulatory means to combat all the details and the optimize and super over-optimization stuff that's out there. Well, we just need to bring it back to eat less and move more. Oh, why are we muddying the water with so much detail? We need to not be focusing on blood sugar. We shouldn't be focusing on this or that, or this food good or this food bad. We need to be focusing on eat less and move more. Well, how has that been working out for us? That's like you telling me that if I want to make money or if I want to get rich, I just need to spend less money than I make. I know it's true. It's just like the calories in, calories out equation. Like, we know that that's important. We know that that's true. But when you oversimplify things, it's a problem. I put a link down below for Thrive Market. If you are doing any kind of eating pattern, I don't care if you are vegan, if you are paleo, if you are keto, if you are AIP, it does not matter. Eating in a deficit can still give you these benefits that we're talking about. So Thrive Market's an online membership-based grocery store. That link gets you 25% off your entire grocery order. That means everything you put in your shopping cart, you're gonna save 25% off that grocery order. Plus you get a free gift. And this is only if you're using my link down below in the description. Okay, I've been working with Thrive Market on this channel for 5 years, touting them in all kinds of videos. They're a huge sponsor. So that link down below saves you 25%. Plus the best part, you order up your groceries, you can sort by diet type, figure out what works for you, and then it gets delivered to your doorstep within 2-3 days. So A, you get everything that you could ever want, and you can search for it, and you can sort by diet type. B, you don't have to waste your time going to the grocery store, running into people you don't want to run into. And C, it ends up at your doorstep, all packaged up, all in a really good way that you can just rock and roll, put it in your pantry, or even put their sustainable meat and seafood options directly in your freezer. Okay, so check them out down below in the description. So here we have this industry of sort of call-out culture, where now call-out culture is anyone you don't agree with. So if someone doesn't agree with you online, it's, oh, that's misinformation, or that's cringe, or you're a grifter, or you're just trying to sell something. Like, I hear it, Andrew Huberman hears it, Peter Attia hears it, we all hear it. And it's just when something doesn't agree, or someone doesn't agree with what you have to say, it's now labeled as worthy of a reaction video. So you get little snippets of videos, and I'm not just talking about me. Candidly, it doesn't happen to me all that much compared to a lot of these others, but I see it destroying and degrading fitness and health. We have to remember that these optimization tools, the little nuancy things we talk about, are not the gospel. They're not everything we're supposed to do. They are supposed to be tools. If I gave you a toolbox and I said, hey, in this toolbox are $1 million worth of tools, that could absolutely paralyze you with detail. Okay? But if I gave you a box with just a hammer and a saw and some nails and maybe a drill, you could get a lot done, but you'd be left with a lot of pieces missing too. So if I give you that toolbox with $1 million worth of tools, but I tell you, hey, the most important tools that you're gonna use are gonna be in this drawer first. Everything else is going to help you fill in the gaps. There's nothing wrong with that. The bottom line is that call-out culture is discouraging people. When someone learns something new and they get excited about it, and then they see someone make a reaction video saying why this person's wrong and why it all comes down to a simple thermodynamic equation, or it all comes down to just eat less and move more. I understand the premise there, and that's not incorrect. Like, that is probably the most important thing. But the call-out culture just discourages that person from maybe applying the 1 or 2 healthy things that they were even going to apply that week. So now they've just resorted to, well, what Andrew Huberman told me must have been wrong because they called him out. So I'm just gonna go back to eating my potato chips. I'll just try to eat less of them. But we have a serious freaking problem here. We don't have the same control over how much we eat as we did 20 years ago. We have things out of our control, hyperpalatable stuff that is triggering our brain to light up like a Christmas tree, making us crave things and want things we never would have even been thinking of before. Because why? Food marketing is good. And this isn't some conspiracy talk. Like, food marketing knows what they're doing. Food scientists know what they're doing. They're great at getting us to eat more. They do it to me. They do it to all of us, even those that have control. So telling us just to not worry about the little details really leaves a lot of us detail-oriented people frustrated. There is a very big difference between having positive detail and fear-mongering. There is a difference between doing something like Huberman suggests, saying, hey, go out and stare at the sun for 5 or 7 minutes in the morning and get a benefit to your circadian biology, and saying, you never want to touch this particular food because it's going to absolutely destroy you. There's a big difference. One is optimization, and that can have benefit. The other is fear-mongering. That is a whole different ballgame. But some of us are detail-oriented, and we need that. I'd say 40 or 50% of people that I encounter like detail. But when we smash them every time they look at detail. I'll give an example. I had a short Instagram video that I did with Glucose Goddess. She's got a large brand in the glucose management space. We talked about using as a tool a partially green banana, not even an unripe banana, but just hey, if you like the taste of a partially green banana, which I do, it's actually a nice little trick to control glucose a little bit more than having a regular banana. We even ended the video by saying, hey, a banana is still a better option than most things. No one demonized a banana. It was a tool that you could use to your advantage. There were a few people that just reacted to that in really weird ways. Most people found it beneficial. Most people said, hey, that's a great idea. Maybe I will opt for a slightly green banana and have a less glucose spike. That's a cool trick. But it's usually the people in the fitness space themselves that have a bone to pick. Those are the people that say, how are you discouraging from eating? Just eat the banana. It's that simple. Just eat the banana. You're discouraging people from eating bananas. When I look at those comments, most people were not discouraged. Most people thought it was a cool trick. The only people discouraged were people in the fitness industry that get frustrated because maybe they didn't think of it first, or maybe they just get competitive with it, or maybe they just don't like the idea of it. Why is it a big deal to simply not agree? Who cares? I can disagree with you. You can disagree with me. It doesn't mean it's false. It doesn't mean it's pseudoscience. There's plenty of data to back stuff up, but just because it doesn't agree, fasting is a perfect example. Lots of data to back up fasting as equal or possibly even better in certain situations than other means of weight loss. That doesn't mean that we're crooks or we're pseudoscientists. It means that that's the camp that we like to talk about and we think about the most. Doesn't mean we're wrong, right? Why can't that exist? The pendulum swings all the time. Before we were focused on optimization and we wanted nitty-gritty and we wanted details. Now this pendulum starts to swing to, we've had enough. We don't want to hear that stuff anymore, so we start going to simplification. The pendulum's swinging that way and we're going to oversimplify. We need to find middle ground. We need to find what our pillars are and optimize from there. Some people want to optimize a little bit first before they focus on those pillars. Perhaps that's not the best way to do it, but maybe that's how their brain works. And why do we feel the need to discourage that? If people are not actually spewing nonsense and they're actually spewing constructive things, let them spew constructive things. The net positive is probably better than the net negative. As long as they're not fear-mongering and scaring away from all kinds of food, which I know exists, but I'm talking about the large scale categories here. I think what I'm saying is we've lost sight of helping in an effort to just compete. We just want to compete for viewership. We just want to compete for attention. We want to compete for you're right. Or we want a virtue signal to a point where it's saying oh, thank goodness this person called out that person. Thank goodness this person called out that person's BS. Stop it. Seriously. What the heck are we gaining from that? You actually sound whiny when you do that. That doesn't sound productive. That's emasculating and terrible feeling. It's a concern trolling. Oh, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this. I'm saving you from the BS. No, you're actually just hindering that person because maybe that BS, if it was actually not really BS, was helping that person. When I see someone call out Andrew Huberman for giving them a small scale study that is still rooted in science, I get frustrated because I'm dude, that guy has changed so many lives and you're going to shoot him down over viewership to compete with him and disregard how many people he's helping and how he might be helping a lot of people that you're now standing in the way of. Let me give you a few of my pillars that are really basic and things that you can still apply with optimization strategies from whoever it is you follow online, Attia, Huberman, whatever, doesn't matter. Number one is your protein should always be key, right? Like your protein should always be number one. I think if you focus on that, a lot of things fall into place and a lot of the optimization strategies work really well. Two, I think you should control your fats. I think that is a problem that we have, is we have so many hyperpalatable fats that are calorically dense. I feel like if we optimize for protein and we control the fats that we bring into our diet, I think we put ourselves in a really good spot. I feel like if we simply took a break from food and tried to eat in like a 12-12 eating pattern where we don't eat for 12 hours and then we have a 12-hour eating block, I think a lot of things would also fall into place, but still leaves room for optimization. Take a break from food, everything kind of falls into place a little bit metabolically there, gives you some more flexibility with what you can eat, you can live your life. Then I also think G-flux is important. It's better to move more and eat more than it is to move less and eat less. That's a simple dynamic, but it's complex too, right? It's a very complex thing. It involves a lot of nuance. I can't just say to you, hey, you should move more and eat more. That's confusing, right? That requires explanation. So with all of these foundations that we build, we have these little bricks that need to be learned as well. Lastly, I think a very simple thing to remember is we should probably work towards earning carbohydrates that we eat. Now, what I mean by that is simple. I mean that carbs should be for energy. And if you're gonna go for a walk, you should scale your carbohydrates based on your activity. That just makes a lot of sense. And it ruffles feathers, but it's a very fundamental rule. But that requires more nuance too. Well, how much activity warrants how many carbs? You see, smart people ask questions. And questions involve detail. And more detail involves more nuance, and more nuance involves more scrutiny. And with scrutiny comes complete disregard of the overall message, which is helping people. So you do you. If you like the detail, focus on the detail, lean into it. Because if you oversimplify, you're gonna be living your simple life that's never gonna get you where you want to be, unless you're one of the few that can follow blindly to just listen to a basic high-level explanation. I'll see you tomorrow.